Page 40, Danube Waves. They say from Danube Waves. 3/4 time, it is a waltz. There's no sharps or flats. As far as the key we're in, you'd think is it C major, A minor. It's actually kind of A minor. A minor has no sharps or flats in. You need to be able to do both those scales, the C major and the A minor scale, and you're getting to the point you should be doing these 2 octaves up and down, in my opinion. Let's talk about this piece one hand at a time now. Right hand chromatic going down. 4, crossover. There's other fingerings, but this is good. I like this. Now the first measure only has 2 counts in it because we're coming in on beat 2. There should be another measure somewhere else with 1 count in it. If you look around, there's not. I think that's an error. Okay. 2 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1. Oh, these thirds. It's the same as I was saying before on this. Practice that one. You know, the way it's pushing it down. Well, here it's the same thing, but we got black keys involved. It doesn't matter if black keys are involved. It's the same pattern. It's the same technique. The way it pushes it down, and it just feels different because the black keys are involved. That's all. But it's important you be able to do that. So anyway, let's go on second line and the 2, 2, 3, 4. Then when a 2, 1, that's fine. There's other fingerings, but that'll work. And then lift up. 2, 3, 1. Now here in the third line, I recommend rather than this, that you just lift up and come down. I want to connect these. I don't want any break there at all. And the fingering they're showing you will give you a break in the sound. No, I would rather lift up here and then lift up again and do it again. Now this is the last 2 measures of the third line. I suggest they're doing a 2-4 and a 1-3 and then a 2-4. But again, you got this break. I don't want to break, so I'm going to do a 3-5, 1-4, and you can do a 2-3. So it's connect them all, and then coming down, and you can do a 1-5 on all of these at the bottom of page 40. I don't recommend it. I want to feel that, so I can have thumb do that. If your hand's big enough. If not, you may have to do a 1-5 on the first 2, and then a 1-4. But I would prefer 5, 4, 3. And then lift up and you repeat it. Let's go to the top of page 41. The left hand plays the first 2 eighth notes, and then the right hand comes in. And then again, immediately it's 2-4. 2-4. You can do a 1-5 there if you want. If that's easier for you, that's fine. It's a good fingering because then you can go on with 2-4 again. And then 5-3. That's fine, and then go on at 1-3 and then 2-4. I do it, that's right, and then an octave higher, 4, because that's a broken chord, that's the fingering we're going. And I recommend you do a 5 here, so I can do a 1-4 and 1-3 here. I want to connect them. The way it's slurred, I would prefer to connect all that slurred all together. That's what I want to hear. So I'm going to put a 5 on the half note, and then a 1-3 and a 1-4 and a 1-3. And then you'd come up. Go back to the sign, which is at the top of page 40. Left hand, well, broken chords here. Yeah, here. Rest, rest. Rest, rest. Well, you can handle this. At the bottom of page 140, I like their fingering because that's the fingering for the chord. It's just an A minor chord. Top of page 41. Left hand plays the first 2 notes in the top staff. That's what the LH is for. And then it comes down here. Broken chord. last line. You're here. Again, your fourth finger. It's that A minor chord again. Put the hands together. I still play third finger on that in the second line. They said second. My third finger's there. I just use it. You want to use second, fine. And on going on, I use 4-1 so I can connect it. But if you want to use the fingering in the book, that's fine too. Third line. Let's go to the top of page 41. Let's hear one. This should sound like one hand playing all of those. So blend them in. Forth. And then once you kind of have the hands working together, just keep going on and working on those tough spots to get rid of any hesitations. You can go slow, but it's got to be a steady beat. This is the kind of waltz that people can waltz to, can dance to. You need to keep a steady beat. Well, you do that anyway, but really. Can you picture in your mind the chaos that would be if you were a bunch of people were dancing to you're playing this and you kept messing up the rhythm and hesitating here and there? I mean, the dancers would probably walk off the floor and they wouldn't like you anymore anyway. So keep a steady beat as you're doing this. As far as articulation goes, connect the eighth notes to what comes after, because the eighth notes lead into what comes up. Connect. That should all be slurred together. Connect all this. That's a new phrase. So forth. And at the bottom you have staccatos. I want to feel that. So I still finger it that way. Yeah, lead into it. And then at the top of page 41, now they do have the slur going over. After the eighth notes, it leads in. All that together. Accent. Second line, lift up. It's a new phrase. Keep the left hands together, it's legato. Again, lift up at the end of the line, it's a new phrase. Keep the left hand legato. So the last two measures again. The left hand I'm keeping all legato here. I'm only lifting up in the right. So you add the articulation eventually. Then the dynamics. So this applies to the left hand, or excuse me, the right hand, because that's where the melody is. The only time the left hand comes up is the first two notes on page 41 when it helps the right hand. And it actually doesn't really come up there because you're going to crescendo up. So you're starting soft anyway. But here, soft, and dolce means sweetly. We'll get to sweetly later. Let's just do the soft right now. Left hand's very soft. Come up, we'll feel that. Keep the left hand down. And come down each of these. Dum, bum, bum. Don't keep building up from where you're at. So again, softly. Stay up. Come down. Soft. Now at the top of page 41, start it soft and go up to loud. Right there. Soft. accented notes will be very loud. The left hand's still soft. Now on the second line, they have another crescendo to swell up, come down to moderately loud, then go back up to loud and back down to moderately loud. There. So that's your target. The accented note, that's where you're headed. Now moderately soft. See, the left hand and all of this is in the background. And I tend to want to put a little swell in there too. This is something about interpreting music. When you just have a bunch of repeated notes like this, they just sit there if you don't do something. You got to do something. So one of the things we typically do is we put a slight crescendo because it gives it the illusion it's flowing, it's going someplace. So you don't need to be a big crescendo. I exaggerate it so you can hear it a little better because the electronics I'm using evens out the volume. You can't really hear the crescendos and decrescendos I'm doing because it evens it out. Believe me, it sounds great here. It just doesn't come across. But put a little crescendo in there, up to about a moderately loud, and then back down. And up now moderately loud. And then you're ending it at moderately loud, come down to moderately soft. The left hand's very soft. Now you're soft again. Speed, well, moderato, I think it's about just a nice gentle waltz. It's not a slow waltz, it's not a fast waltz. It's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. It's like a slow, feel it in 1. 1, 2, 3. I mean, if you count the beat, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. That's not moderate. That's fast, but it feels moderate. That's kind of a moderate feel to it. That's fine. Then, just to make it more interesting, they've added pedal. Oh goodness! Actually, for the most part, on page 40, I agree with their pedaling. We're pedaling the longer notes to give them color. And that's it. But we don't want to pedal the quarter notes so much in the right hand because that would smear them up. We don't want to smear it up. But on page 41, I think we can do some things with that. And this will be overlapping pedal or lag pedal. So the notes go down first and then the pedal. And I'm going to lift it up as I play these notes. So I'm going to connect them. The second line, I'm going to lift it up with the right hand. It's a new phrase. And I'm not going to pedal that note. This is why we can get away with lifting the hand here because we're holding the pedal down here. Third line down. I don't lift the pedal up until I play that note. And at the first ending, lift the pedal up with the hand. It's a little silence before we go back. Now on page 41, they don't show any pedaling at all, and I think we can help this out if we do. So I'm going to pedal it. In the first line, I'm going to pedal the second and third measures and part of the last measure. I want to connect the repeated notes. And I'll lift it up on the second beat. And then the second line, I'm going to pedal the first measure, and then change it, and I'm going to pedal the next measure. And I'll lift it up on the third measure, change it, and lift it up on the second beat. So I hear the rest in the right hand. I think it helps. And then, of course, the third line is the same thing. I'm going to pedal the first two measures, change it, and then lift it up. Is my suggestion there. So we can do a little pedaling in there too. Don't have to. It's up to you and your ears and what you like to hear. But to me, that's just too choppy. I would like to connect it. And so I can do that with the pedal, so I use the pedal. Now, you have first and second endings at the bottom of page 40, so you're going to do all that. You know how to do that by now, I hope. And at the end of page 41, there's a DS all fine. The DS means go back to the sign. Remember, DC means go back to the beginning. DS means go back to the sign. The sign is almost at the beginning. It doesn't have to be, but it is here. So you go back to that, and then you take the second ending. And that's... Some people will do both endings again. After the DS, they'll do both endings on page 40 again. I'd like to play this with you very slowly. I'll give us 4 counts, a full 3 counts for the 3/4, and then one more because we come in on beat 2. We are going to do all the repeats and everything just like I explained. I'm going to pedal it as I suggested, which the only changes I made were on page 41. I added pedal there. It's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Rest. Repeat. Second ending, 2, 3. Second